Welcome back to a little weekend update. We will today look what is AMC doing. We make a little update on BYND because it was wished we make a little update on plug power. Because of the big move, we will also look at FFAI. And in the end, we will make a little update for the general markets, SPY, NASDAQ, and so on. If you're interested, just stay tuned. As always, I'm using the Fractal method, explanation video at the end of the video. Okay, so let's jump into AMC first. For AMC, again, this time only a small update, only the micro tracking. For the big update, 1-part squeeze, 2-part squeeze, price targets, and so on. I will link the big update video at the end. Now we just look what we have done this week. So, and this time, to make that absolutely clear, I will show, we have still one bearish version and I think 3 bullish versions. I will really show one by one for probability. Yeah? So first one is the one I'm really tending to the one which I'm at least tending to. So this is my main version still. Yeah, this is what I'm really tending to still, is our main tracking right now. That means there is a very big probability, and I also think that already, that here in March 27 was our V. We are right now over our micro T, under our micro M. So I could still, and it could be wrong, yeah, but in that case, we would get now a pullback. Yeah, this could now be our micro A, a middle A, yeah, and we're getting now a 0.5, 0.618 pullback from our V to our top. Means we pull back to 116 with this level right now, or 110-ish. Again, we can bounce a little bit over it, on the line, or a little bit under it, or in between. It would be in this range here, yeah, to bounce if we're getting this pullback. Also, 2 things. First of all, if we touch the 786, that means if we touch right now $1.03, this can't be A anymore. If we do that, not all hope is lost, yeah, but then this would become just our higher low. Yeah. I don't really tending to this still, yeah, because we're already way too high up in my opinion. The important part here again is not touching 93 cents. Otherwise, this is just a pump and dump again. After that, if we're doing this pullback right now, after that, we go up to our A. If we're doing in between a little B, yeah, doesn't really matter. Yeah? But this B should occur over 153 if we do it. The price target for our big A, I marked it this time. The 200 EMA is now at 211. Yeah, so this A, in my opinion, has to be under the 200 EMA, of course. Yeah, I would think it would be this trend line maximum. What trend line I'm talking about? I'm talking about the trend line from May 2024 with 1 touch point in October 21 till today. Yeah, somewhere in this range. Yeah, $2.08 to $1.86-ish. Yeah, for the A, in my opinion, it should be over 180 because here's our T. Yeah. After this, we're doing the same like 2021, a 0.5 or a 0.618 pullback from our V, wherever our A is. Yeah, somewhere in this range should be the bounce. If we're doing absolutely the same like 2020, or it's like every time, we will add a little higher low, but then we go. I say it again. Normally, I would sit here and tell you, wait for this low, yeah, to get a position. No financial advice. I already said it. This time, especially for memes, to wait till the end to get a position could be fucking risky. Yeah. I am already building a little position. If we're really doing this pullback on bounce here, I really will start a position, just because this whole thing could also be just after hours. That's the risky part. I am still the opinion it won't be April. Yeah. Doesn't matter which version we are doing. Also, when I show the other versions, I still think that this point here will be May, but I could be wrong. Good. This for the main tracking. Now the second one, the alternative bullish way. That would be this one. That's the second one I'm most likely tending to. That means we don't getting any pullback next week. Yeah. We would just go to A, yeah, same level like in the bullish, in the main tracking version, and doing 0.5 pullback, higher low, and then we go. Still, also, if we're doing this, I still don't think it's April. My main problem with this version is that we're just running up and getting no pullbacks. Yeah. Why? Because we saw that in May 2024 here, where we also got a V and just ran up to our A. Yeah. In 2024, we made a 0.618 pullback. Also here, a high low, and then just in one part squeezed to the upside. The main problem I have with this right now would be, if we are doing that, I just see a big case that we're not breaking over 13. Yeah. In that case, we would just stop here. Why? Just because May was just a test, jet test to a resistance. The same thing like here in May 2025, it was just a test to a resistance line. Yeah. I really want to see pullbacks like we did in 2021. Yeah. That's also why I hate if we, okay, if we're just gapping up to whatever number, yeah, to all-time highs or whatever, fine. Of course I like that. Yeah. As long as we're not over this level here, yeah. The shitty part is, one part squeeze, we didn't do a one part squeeze in 2024. And this is our main tracking. If we suddenly jumping here, I'm still getting worried that we won't go over this. One part squeeze for AMC right now wouldn't be bullish for me, because I would compare it to May, to both Mays, 2024, 2025. And these ones weren't the end of a fractal, they were just a station in between. Yeah? That's why I want to see something similar to 2021. 2021 was a two-part squeeze. That means our fractal is finished. Only reason. And I could be wrong. But for the alternative bullish tracking, if we're not seeing a pullback, especially if we break next week 153, it makes no sense to pull back down here anymore. Yeah, 153 is for me the target. Wherever we are bullish for a one-part squeeze or not, our next target should be still our A. For the pullback, nothing changes here for the last one. Yeah, it's still a 0.5, 0.618. Okay, that was the second one. The third one is the hopium. The hopium version means left side 30-minute now, right side 1 hour 2021, January. In that case, we would be somehow already in this peak here. Yeah. To make that absolutely clear, if we zoom in here, and if we zoom in here, we have here our V, here our V. This little section would be this little section. The candle we were waiting for 2 weeks now would be this candle here already. This little uptrend here would be this little uptrend here. And this breakout would be this breakout. Yeah. In that case, we would be right now somewhere January the 12th. Here, January the 12th. We might do, if we still need more time, going now sideways for 1-2 weeks. That would be this here. But also here, we would get a pullback. Yeah. In 2021, it was from the peak, from the low to the peak, a 0.5 pullback. In that case, from now on, if we're going sideways, already pulling back, go back to 116. We did here a higher low, so also we would do here a higher low, and then we go. Yeah. I'm really not tending to it, yeah, because levels wise, in my opinion, we are too low for this, but I can see why. I can see why. But also for this, with this pullback and this high low, I also would say this is not April. Maybe, if we are quick, end of April. But also for this, I would more tending to May. Last one is the bearish version. The most unlikely one right now for me would be we just knife or slowly grinding down, doesn't matter. But in that case, we would touch and break 93 cents. In that case, our next price target is 91 cents or 81 cents. Yeah. Not tending to it, but I can't get it from off the table, because we already saw some of these moves in the past. Yeah. So sadly, it's not off the table, but it's getting lower every day. Yeah. And you should always have an alternative. Doesn't matter how bullish you are, you should always have an alternative. This would be the only one. Okay. Next one is BYND. So also for BYND, for the big update, for how the move look like, price target, and so on, I will link the big update video at the end of the video. Today we just look what we have done this week. We only have one bullish and one bearish version left for BYND. We start with the bearish one, because it's the quickest one. I am not tending to it still. The bearish one just means one thing. We go down, we touch the low of October 2025. That means we touch or break 49 or 50 cents. That makes this whole higher low wrong. That makes the peak of October our T. And the shitty part is not only that we're making a new all-time low. The shitty part is after that, we would have to do still our macro higher low. This macro higher low isn't allowed to go over this trend line, so it will be rejecting $3 or $2. And if we do that, our big price targets won't happen in 2026. This will take time. That's the shitty part. That would be the bearish version. Bullish version, there's only one, maybe two, but my main tracking is now still since earnings, this one, and that means we still need one lower low. Yeah. Before we go into this, I'm tending to that it will be 53 cents on this trend line. What trend line I'm talking about? I'm talking about this trend line here. From December 2025, it was here resistance, and from February 26th till today, it was support. Yeah? Also on earnings, we bounced on it perfectly. So I think our V, our absolute button before we go, is 53 cents-ish. So why? If we just look at this section here, then this was our T and our little C. Our lower high will be, in my opinion, somewhere in this massive knife candle on earnings. This here is our M. So the thing is, our M started here on earnings. The M is only finished when you fall under the point where it started. That means your M was finishing here. So where's your T? The only thing where your T is could be this. Also, this T started here, so it only finishing when it's under where it started. That's why I see one more lower low. Yeah, of course, I can be wrong with this level here. It is enough if it's just going one little wick under where it started. So we can also go down here, making high low and go. Yeah, just saying. Because I was asked from someone of you, is it possible that this is already higher low? Yeah, but it's, for me personally, a 1% chance that this could be. Why? As I said, our M started here. The only way to put T anywhere in this would be here. That's the absolutely only way. Here, under this line, above the V. Here, the only way. So this T would not even nearly isn't existing in here. Yeah, and if you watch me already a few times, you will know I hate to have a massive M and a tiny T. Yeah, most of the time that only means you want your T down there and you want it to be bullish. Yeah, but there is a chance. I absolutely not thinking that, but there's a chance. But because there is a chance, I gave you the levels. Yeah, I said everything over 62 cents is bullish. Everything over 66 is already very bullish. Everything over 72, in my opinion, is kind of confirmation, and everything over 80 cents. And there is no talk about any downside anymore, in my opinion. Yeah. If we do that, I still think this will be whole April, and beyond, we'll just go with all other memes in May on many other tickers. So let's see. Next one is Plug. And for Plug, I think I forgot to put it in the big update video because I just oversaw it. Really, because it's so low on my watch list, because since 21 days here, 26 days, we are in this channel here and we just did nothing. Yeah, so I really oversee it. Tracking wise, nothing changed, but we could get a little bit bullish already. For main tracking, you have here your first part, first fractal finish. For me, this is still C. Since February till today, this would be a higher low. Yeah. Why a higher low? Because it's not a 786 if you look. No. But for this here is your A low. You went under it, so it's a V and A. Higher low is V and A. So for the bullish tracking, we will come to the micro one in a second, would be you would go up now. Your next target is A, and the A has to go over the high of the higher low. And most likely in the direction to over all-time highs. I know that's 1,518. And normally I will say without a split, forward split, there is no way you see one share for 1,500. But first of all, this stock had never a split. So this is a real price. That's not a price because of a split. This is a real price. So there could be a possibility. Just one little warning. You see this company is already running since 2000-ish. I wouldn't play this with options. No financial advice, just my opinion. If you just look how long the last real peaks took, this peak took 1 year. From this low to this took you 4 years. So if there's a play, I would say it's a share play. Before we go into micro tracking here, the absolutely bearish alternative would be if we go down here, and if we touch or break 69 cents, something like that. In that case, this peak here in February 2021 just becomes M. No higher low, no A. This is just M. In that case, you have to go under all-time low, up again, T, and die. Yeah, if we just not die here, just saying, if this is happening, that's over for plug. Yeah, why ever? That's the bearish alternative. For the bullish way, we have two. Sadly, we have still one bullish, one bearish one. Why? This is only because of me. In this time, really because only of me, because I'm not sure if this here is our T, that means January 2025, or if this is our T. No, this year. January 2024. I still can't decide which one, but this is a big difference. If this is our T, that's the bearish version. Yeah. That means if January 2024 was our T, that means our peak was under T, and that means this is higher low. In that case, we could come up still. I would say around 340, or we're already breaking down from here, one of these both things. But in that case, this is higher low still. And in that case, you still have to come lower. You have to come under $1.03. Something like this. Yeah. Also, to make that absolutely clear, this would be your M. You would come down, up, T, down, higher low finished. And if we're doing this, I can tell you this most likely will take whole 2026 there. And then we go up. That would be the bearish bullish way. The bullish version would be if this was our T. In that case, we are already over T. Here over. That makes this peak A. This would be A. We already did our 0.5 pullback. If we zoom in, we already did our higher low. In that case, from here on is upside. Next target would be 1340, 4B, 0.5 pullback, and we go up again. I don't really have a macro position for this. I mean, we could say it's something like here, yeah, but I'm not really found a macro position here. But again, I wouldn't play options, I would play shares. But that's your decision. Right now, it's quite 50-50 for me. 4 levels. Everything over 473 is bullish. Yeah. Of course, everything over 1340 is confirmation, but yeah, you have to go over this to say, okay, perfect. Bearish alternative is off the table. Next one is FFAI. So, because of the run this week, we start with the main tracking first. First, we have our C, our lower high, our midpoint. And this last peak here in July was our T. Before we go into micro tracking, if this down there was our V, and when we finish the high low, our next target is something over 350 for our A, something over 153 for our B, and then the only question is, are we breaking all-time highs or not? Again, in my opinion, if we are bullish, 153 is our rejection line. You still can go up here, but without a forward split, no. We already made splits, so these are not real numbers. There's a possibility to come here, but you won't see a share for 7,000. Before we're doing that, forward split. Also, before we go into micro tracking, if we are bullish on this, I'm still the opinion we don't see A and B. Yeah? Just because if we look at every squeeze we had, and if we are bullish, this would be end of fractal 1, so there would be one. You always see V, higher, low, squeeze. V, higher, low, squeeze. V, higher, low, squeeze. So in that case, we won't see A and B. It would be volatile. That's the only reason why this stock could still be interesting. Now for micro tracking. Again, I'm saying that absolutely clearly. I wouldn't recommend anybody to invest serious money into this. We are very low already. Yeah, back here, it was fine. Right here, it's shit. Again, we had a pretty good run. This was a 67% run. The problem is, a few weeks ago in March, we already had also a 73% run, but we made it a lower low. Because some said FFAI broke out. In my opinion, it didn't. Main trend line is still this one. And there is no outbreak yet. Yeah, you could say this here is a breakout. But it's a tiny one. There's no confirmation for this. So, yeah. But one bullish, one bearish. Always show both. For the bullish version, yeah, could be V here on April 7. We already did a micro higher low, holded it, perfect, and we got a breakout. I still would say we need the macro higher low. That would be this one. Yeah. In that case, you wouldn't go over 46 cents. Maybe this was already the peak, also possibility. If you're doing the big one, your pullback target would be $24. If this was already the peak, your pullback target would be 22 cents. And of course, you're not allowed to touch the low. And after that, if you're holding that, maybe. I would still look at the two main squeezes we have. The first one is in November 2024. We did a higher low and ran. Same like April 2024, we even did two higher lows and ran. So, and yeah, sadly, I think there won't be any warning for this. Yeah, you didn't have the warning here and you didn't have the warning here. When it decides to go, it will go. So there's a possibility. Bearish alternative is just same like March. Yeah, you're rejecting and making new low. Again, I have to say, if we're doing another low, it's getting dangerous. As I said, NASDAQ rules 10 days under 10 cents and you are gone. There is no 180 days plus. No, after 10 days, you are gone. And doesn't matter how nice the owners of FFAI are. Before they run into the danger that their stock is going OTC and delisting, they will do a 100 or 1,000 to 1 reverse split. They need the money. Otherwise, you're not on the stock market. Before they run into the danger to getting delisted from NASDAQ, they will reverse split this stock to hell. Yeah. because I think it was Island Minister asked the correlation to AMC and GME in 2021. I looked at it. There could be one, because if you look back here at IPO, the first real squeeze of FFAI started January the 8th, 2021. First part squeeze of AMC and GME. So yeah. Second one in June 2021, FFAI also ran. This time it was a lower high. So yeah, there is correlation for this. So it looks interesting. So if we are bullish on FFAI, if we are not breaking the lows again, I would say you will do this higher low the whole April long. Yeah? If our tracking on AMC and GME is right and they really run in sync. Because AMC and GME would also take the whole April to finish their shit. And then May, all of them go. Could be. Let's see. Okay, and last one is SPY, NASDAQ, and the market. But before we go into SPY and NASDAQ, we look at VIX. And I have a bullish thesis and a bearish thesis. Yeah. The thing for VIX, if you really zoom out, yeah, from 1990 to today, you see a clear pattern in my opinion here. Yeah, could be something, could be nothing. In that case, from 1990, you have higher highs, except this one, to the peak. Since 2008, since 2008, you have lower highs all the time. So the only question is, are we willing doing something like this, where we have to go now to a new all-time low? Yeah, just to explain what VIX is for people who don't know that. Bullish VIX, so VIX is going up, means market is going down. SPY, NASDAQ, IWM, down, bad. Bearish VIX, VIX is going down, means bullish for SPY, NASDAQ, IWM, and so on. If we now just look from 2024 to today, we have two clear versions. One absolutely clear bullish version, one absolutely clear bearish version. We start with the bullish one here. That means we had a peak in 2024 August. The lower high would have been April 2025. For the micro tracking for this, your M was April 2025, your T was October 2025, and your V, the end of L, would have been December 2025. In that case, this here, this peak in March 2026 was your A. And here comes the shitty part, because this pullback, in my opinion, has a very high probability is finished. A pullback 618, and we bounced, if you look perfectly right now, at the 618. Why would that be shitty? I mean, okay, it depends if you want the market crash or not. But in that case, you finished your A. You will go up from here massively. And you see that VIX isn't something which is slowly grinding up. No, if VIX is bullish, it jumps. In that case, your next target is something over 35. Also, I mean, this could be just coincidence, but if this candle here would only went up 50 cents, this version wouldn't work anymore because you came over M. In that case, that's perfect still. So what would happen? Bullish tracking for VIX, this will be B. You might get a pullback. Your next target for this is something for $50. That's a market crash scenario. Really saying that this is knifing SPY, NASDAQ, IWM. This point here would be M. Yeah. If you're not just breaking through it and you're getting really a market crash scenario, this would be M. You have to come down again, up again, T, but that's for the future. So if this is right, we're getting at least a mini market crash. For the bearish version for SPY, for VIX, this just means that this was our M, and there's a good case for this. You might come up again and fill this gap, but your direction is clearly to the downside. In that case, if this is M, you have to go under 1340, something in here, come up again. This would be your T, and then you come under 1272. This scenario, if we're doing, and of course then in the future, if this is your V, you're coming up again, and this would be a V, M, blah blah blah. This scenario is bull market for SPY. This is breaking all-time highs and ole off we go. Just as a start. Now for SPY and NASDAQ. So for today, we start with NASDAQ before we look at SPY. This time it has some differences. So for tracking for NASDAQ, we had a pretty good run. For NASDAQ, we are still in between M and T. So in my opinion, this could still be our A without the pullback. So I'm still thinking we're getting a pullback right now. In that case, this last thing on Friday, this one here, was already your lower high of A. In that case, you will get now a pullback from our V to our A. Normally, we're doing a 0.5, 0.618, something like this. Yeah. In that case, I still would think we will bounce at the trend line. Of course, we can go lower, but for the bullish tracking, I still think there's a good possibility we bounce at 597, 92, especially. Would be a pretty asshole move, because if you go down here, everyone will say, yeah, perfect, we will get fill, and then we bounce here. Yeah. Market always wants to kill people. For this bullish tracking, pullback, whether we're doing the 0.5618 or bouncing at this trend line, after that, going up again over our M, so over 618, this would be our B, little pullback, and then the question is, are we breaking all-time highs or not? The bearish alternative for this whole thing is that this is not A, that this is M. As I said already, I will show this especially on SPY, that this is M. Yeah. In that case, we will knife down. Not only gap fill, we will fucking knife. First price target for this is 553. Second, and I don't think this will hold, second one is at least 541. Then you will come up again, T, let's see how high, and then even more. Yeah, I'm still tending more to this. I will show that on SPY, because SPY has something different. I mean, of course, they have the same movement, but levels wise, they still have something different. Because for SPY right now, you see, we are not between M and T. We already peaked on Friday over M. And that kinda without a real A and a real A pullback. That's, in my opinion, bearish. I mean, I know, okay, some people will, why the fuck is that bearish? Because we don't have pullbacks. We're in pullbacks here. Yeah? For me, this looks more and more like a fake run. Yeah, but I could be wrong. Still, I will present a bullish version and a bearish version. If we're just going up from here, okay, then I couldn't track that. Just saying. I'm really not tending to this. If we do that, I will sit here and say sorry. Just saying that. But for the bullish tracking, if you look directly here, yeah, you see this little candle here, perfectly at the T line and the knife down. For me, this is our A. Here, our A. That means this would be our B. In that case, here is our A bottom. In that case, you're doing at least a 0.5 pullback. Means 669 for SPY or 666. That's why, because I had a little discussion with one of our viewers, my price target for this pullback would be something in this. Yeah, from 669 to 663, something in this range. For the bullish tracking, the same like NASDAQ. For the bullish tracking, I don't think we fill this gap. Yeah, we will bounce somewhere in here and go up again, just as an asshole move as SPY is. But for SPY, it's even more clear. Why? Gap fill for SPY, in my opinion, is only possible for the bearish version. Because if you look from our pullback here, from our A pullback to the gap fill, you are breaking under the 786 fib. B is not touching the 786 fib. If you're touching the 786 fib, so that means if you're touching 661.65, that's so fucking bearish, I can't even say it how much. Because this is not a B anymore, if we're doing that. But that's for a second. In a second. If this is B, you will, in my opinion, do still the pullback, come up again. And then, as I said in the last 4 or 5 videos, the most important line to break is this line, the real wedge line. Something around 685, 690-ish. If you break through this, perfect. You will make a new high, 700, whatever number. This will be your big A. You will make a breakout retest as always. This would be the buy-in for the bull market. Perfect. If you reject here, this will be your fucking big M. And this is the point where you buy puts every day over months, because then you fucking knife down. You have to break 629. First price target would be 625. Still, I don't think this will hold. The real next price target would be 612-ish, maybe even lower. You will come up again, not to all-time highs. This will be your T, and you will fucking even knife more down. Yeah, this could be then bear market for 2 to 5 years. In the best case, finding a low in October. Yeah. For the bullish tracking, bearish tracking would be, just because we didn't got real pullbacks here, there's a fucking big possibility that this is already M. Yeah, that is if confirmation for me personally, no financial advice, but confirmation for me would be if you gap fill. If you fucking gap fill this shit, if you go under 661, in my opinion, this was already M. Then you will fucking go down. Yeah. And to say that because I heard I'm only showing every version. Yeah. Yeah, I'm showing every version, but I'm also saying to what I'm tending to. I am bearish. In my opinion, January was the peak. Yeah. We need not even a correction, we need a pullback, a crash. Yeah. I'm really tending to the bearish version. What proves me wrong is the break of this trend line, because then we go into a bull market. Fine. But if we touch 661-ish, what is 661-ish, I think that's confirmation for me. Yeah. That was the wrong one. If we do this, yeah. If we break under 661, this is for me confirmation. Oh fucking god, we go. Yeah. I already played puts, YOLO puts for Wednesday. I said it in the comments, really YOLO puts. Yeah, they could easily, if you're doing something stupid to the upside, they could be worthless. Yeah. Normally, I hate playing over the weekend, but this just looks perfect for that something is happening on the weekend. But normally I play the confirmation on Monday. Yeah, but let's see. Let's see if Trump is killing the world on the weekend again, or Iran, or whatever. Yeah? Okay. Good. As always, explanation video here, playlist here, big update video with all stocks back here. If you liked it, you can leave a like. If you want to see more, you can give me an abo. Yeah, well, let's see what happens next week. I wish you a nice weekend. See ya.